So, hi everyone, my name is Vadim and this is my first video on YouTube. Why I created this channel is because I have this desire to help developers grow, and it's been growing in me since a few years. I started my blog 2 years ago, and you might have read a few articles of mine. The logical progression of that is to start creating videos, because that's the next medium that I want to explore. And the reason for this, the reason why I like teaching developers is because, first of all, I like sharing my experience. I enjoy when we discuss what I've built, what I've done, my mistakes, my experiences, and then I can distill that into something that can be taught to other developers and basically make everyone great. So in the sense that I'd like to help the next generation of CTOs to grow from my advice. I'm not saying everything is bad. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying my advice is the best. I'm not saying that I know how to do it right. It's highly likely that I do not know that, but I do have a lot of experience under my belt. So I've been coding since I was 12 or 13 years old, and I've made a lot of mistakes since then. And when I started writing about the stuff that I've did in the past, it helped me reflect a bit on my experience and understand better. Okay, how can I make myself better? Because when I write about my past experience, I also reflect and think about, okay, what learnings can I extract from this? What makes this? It's like writing a postmortem. You write down what happened, and then you try to understand and figure out how to, not do the same mistake twice. And that's what I did with my experience. I'm still going to continue writing articles. I'm not going to stop it because, again, I enjoy writing stuff. So this is my first time trying to record something, and please give me feedback if you have any about the sound, the video, the lighting, whatever, the content, the speech, anything you might think can be helpful to me. Just write in the comments. And actually, I never thought I'm going to be the one who's saying, please press like if you enjoy the video. And let's start. So what we're going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about habits of great software engineers. And the reason why I first of all wrote this article a few months back was because I've noticed that there's a lot of software engineers who've joined the field in the last decade or so, who are in a comfortable position. They have no desire to grow. They're they're there because they make good money. They have good work-life balance, and I'm not saying that bad. That's totally fine if that's your choice. But that will never make you an exceptional engineer, because I think those people that have that spark in their eyes, that have that drive to move forward, are the exceptional ones. I mean, I'm not saying I'm one of those either. So. But I've definitely met a few of them, and they were always exceptional people. They had exceptional level of drive, of understanding, of focus. So today I'm going to talk about the habits, or the traits that a great software engineer should have. So we're going to start with the first one, and it's quite straightforward. Focusing beyond the code. What that means is that we software developers, we're quite used to just writing the code, writing some tests and then pushing it to your branch, then it gets reviewed and stuff, and then it's done. For you, from your side, it's done. But that's not really how an exceptional engineer does his work, because how they do it is that they focus on everything around the code as well. Because let me explain this. For example, you spend 5 to 10 years coding in the same language with the same framework, you become an expert. There's not really much that you can perfect in terms of your code. You already know all the ins and outs, all the best practices of your language, of your framework and stuff, and there's not much you can perfect. But there's a whole world around the problem solving that you do. So there's coding, which is 20 to 30% of your time. and then the whole problem solving. And the problem solving part involves not just the coding. It involves getting the domain expertise. It involves soft skills and being able to talk with other departments, talk with other people, talk about maintenance, talk with business, talk with everything around the feature that you're building. And that's actually the biggest chunk of your time is going to be spent on those details, because again, coding 20%, the rest 80%, and once you perfect the coding part, so once you're done with like you spent again 10 years coding in the same language, then you're basically done. You finish that part. You can relax and be sure that the code that you write is decent and you've mastered your craft in terms of coding, and now you can focus about being a domain expert, for example. So if you're like an app developer for a finance app, for example, then you need to understand how the money flows, not just like understanding the part that you wrote, for example, the payment gateway or some integration with some third-party bank or whatever. You need to really understand, okay, what does it mean when a person pays with a credit card? What does it mean when he cash in a check? So there's a whole plethora of things that you can learn about that are not really coding. So I think the first part that keeps like makes an exceptional engineer is that they focus on the stuff outside of coding. So the second part is the pursuit of efficiency. So I named this pursuit of efficiency, but I think I meant something like, well, not something else, but something different. So you need to understand that exceptional engineers, they have a proactive mindset. So when they see something that doesn't really work as they wanted to, so they see some machine that's not well oiled, they will have an inkling that they need to make it better. So if they see a process that's like 10 steps deep and they know that they can make it like 2 steps deep, they will make it happen. They will like make everything efficient around them. And that also concerns, for example, so I've met people who exude that feeling when they're working on something, when they're in the flow, everything around them flows the right way. The tools are set up in the right way. The commands just flow. The communication is easy, and the stuff just happens around them. And that's the feeling that you should strive for. I mean, like I don't think there's like a quantitative way how I can explain how you can achieve, but I think there's a term called anti-fragility. It's basically like not being hectic and running around and doing everything that you can, but more like being in the flow and doing stuff in the right way. So it kind of feels like it happens by itself, but we know that you know that you've put effort into it, but it feels like it comes easy to you. So that's the second part. And the third part is one of my favorite ones. It's the joy of tinkering. What I mean with the joy of tinkering is basically, like when we all started coding, at least like the developers that I know, we've started when we were like in our childhood. And for example, I started with basic HTML stuff, and I changed something, then it came up on the website, and I was like so happy. Like things I write, they have an effect on the web page, and that was kind of amazing for me back then. And I had this joy. Okay, the things that I can build, the things I can do with that, the power that I have, it gives you excitement. And I think developers tend to really like forget about that. They tend to like again. Most of the times, software development is boring. I completely agree with that. But you need to focus on the joy of tinkering. So something outside of your job which you enjoy doing. So, for example, I have this blog and I've built myself, like I'm not a WordPress developer, but I've built myself a WordPress plugin which exposes a few webhook endpoints for different things that I use. For example, Stripe, for example, Ghost for subscription stuff. And they send webhooks to that endpoint. And then there's a Telegram bot integration, which sends me messages once someone subscribes, or I get someone buys my book or my roasting. So there's, again, was there a need to do that? Was there a need to spend a weekend building that? No. But did I enjoy doing that? Absolutely, yes. I had so much fun building that. And I understand that during my workday, the problems that we solve are usually not as exciting. But I try to add some joy into my life with coding, with the stuff that I do outside of work. Because again, we need to keep the spark alive, because the spark is important as it keeps your desire to get better. And if we lose the spark, it kind of gets, it's just a job. And I mean, eventually it will be just a job for me probably as well. But I hope not in the next 10 to 15 years, because I'm still having fun. I'm still enjoy building stuff. So yeah. I make an example, for example, in my article about George Hotz. He's like, he was like a famous, I think, iPhone hacker or something before that. And now he's like coding language models. And that's actually a good example. Like nowadays, you have so many AI products, so many AI things around you that you can use to build something for yourself. Like, I don't know, like a microphone software that listens to what you say and then transcribes that to you constantly. And then that might be useful to create daily notes. Again, there's so much possibility to tinker with stuff that keeps the life of a programmers fun. It's like it makes everything more fun. Yeah, so the next point that we're going to talk about is knowing the why. And the reason why that's important is that there's quite a few engineers, like software developers, who finish the bootcamp and they don't really question the why. They don't really care about why the code acts as it does. So they know, for example, JavaScript. So for example, they did the JavaScript bootcamp, and now they understand, okay, if I write function X, I get output Y. And that's it. They don't really care about what happens beneath the layer, what happens in the browser, how does it all get rendered, and why does it get rendered. And there's such a fascinating world behind the scenes of the programming language that you're writing, because again, there's thousands and thousands of hours of brilliant software engineer hours that went into building the browser, the rendering engine, everything that happens behind even JavaScript. So it's very important to understand, or to at least have the desire to understand what happens, for example, when you input google.com into the navigation tab and press enter. So there's a whole plethora of things that happens at that moment. So again, it's not that you need to know that. Nobody says that you have to do that. But in my opinion, that keeps the exceptional engineers exceptional, because they have that desire to understand everything, like through the whole vertical chain of, okay, what's happening when I press enter? Like there's a DNS query, there's a browser request that's happening. There's so much stuff that's interesting. So why not learn a bit about it? And you might argue that you cannot really learn everything, and I completely agree about that. But still, why not learn something that interests you? And understanding the why, I think, is an interesting concept. So yeah, the important one. So even though, for example, when I code outside the job, I enjoy doing what I do, so it doesn't feel like work. So when I'm programming outside of my work, and also inside, like during the daytime, it doesn't really feel like work for me. But this is my personal subjective case where I enjoy what I do quite a bit. So it's important for me, for example, to relax, but I relax also in a way that like with my hobbies, with programming. And I think the exceptional engineers, they understand the need to relax without your monitor. So I've been a digital person quite a bit part of my life, so it's hard for me to like move away from my computer. So my MacBook is always with me, and most of my life is inside my MacBook. So I think the need to relax outside of the digital space is a proper way to relax for us software engineers, because otherwise I think the life just there's again, the concept is that there's so much outside of your computer that's happening all around you. When, like, even for example, when I'm commuting on the train, I have my headphones on, I'm still on my phone doing work, I don't notice all the things that's happening around me. I mean, I think that's also my personal mistake. I think I'm quite bad at relaxing without my PC. I get a bit of anxious because I feel like I need to be working. And again, this is a whole different topic about my anxiety. Maybe I'll have a video in the future. But in the end, it's all about recharging yourself in a way that's not connected to your computer where you have work. Otherwise, I think you're going to get burnt out quickly. Even though if you enjoy coding, I think it's not healthy. And even though, for example, for me personally, it feels as not work, I understand the fact that it's not healthy. And I still consciously try to separate myself sometimes from my MacBook and go for walks where I don't touch any digital devices at all. And yeah, that's one of the things that I think great engineers understand is the need to relax properly and not burn out. The next part that I've put into the habits of great software engineers is that there's this art of approximation. So I saw this video by, actually I forgot what his name is. Let me click on that. I think it's Simon Eskildsen. He's from Shopify. Smart guy. He has this concept of the napkin math. So, for example, like to have. So the concept is that you have in your mind the most important numbers that help you architecture your application the way that it needs to be. So, for example, if you already know how fast, for example, a 10 gigabyte read is from RAM or from hard drive, so you can already think, okay, we'll need that data on in the RAM or in the hard drive to make like conscious application decisions. Or for example, you already know for okay, one instance can handle like 100,000 requests per second, and if you have Nginx there, it's going to be more. And okay, I can spin up an 8 gigabyte instance, and that's going to be enough in terms of space. So again, having this concept of like numbers in your head that make it easy to quickly estimate a thing that you need to build is a huge skill that you can have. It's like easy points that you can score, because again, when you're discussing or planning a product or an app that you're building, you can already start thinking in your mind, okay, what's that going to cost to the company? Especially if you're a technical co-founder, that's important, because the business will rely on you to make those decisions, and you already need to know those numbers in your head. So again, it guides architectural decisions. It helps have a check on feasibility. So keep those numbers in your head and check out the napkin math video on YouTube. It's very good, and yeah, highly recommended. The next skill that I wrote about is transferring knowledge to other problems, not to other people, to other problems. So, for example, how I remember my university years when I was studying software engineering. So there were, like, for example, math problems. Like during the year, we learned math. We solved problems. We got used to specific patterns, what to look like. And then in the exams, we had absolutely different problems that were not similar to the ones that we were doing during the year. So we had to understand how exactly can we transfer the knowledge that we've gained during the last half year to the problems that we have now, when they're not applicable as we've gotten used to them. So yeah, that's the skill that you need to have, because, for example, sorry, checking what I've written. So, for example, for example, you've built an app that relies on CMS or some authorization or some JVT tokens, for example, and now someone comes to you, okay, I don't really want a CMS, but I want something similar to a CMS, or like some document management system. You can already apply the knowledge that you used building the CMS to the document management system. So, for example, proper tagging, proper role permissions. You already know, okay, when I build a CMS, I know that I'm going to need the proper roles and permissions because that was important. And I mean, with more experience, with the more stuff that you build, the bigger the pool of things that you can transfer to a different domain is. So this is like I think everyone learns this, because again, the more that you're in the industry, the more things that you've built, the easier it is like to transfer stuff from one domain to another domain, and that's an important skill to have. Yeah, so the next point that I talked about is making hard things easy. So there's this great engineer, Julia Evans, and she does this, I don't know how it's called, Zines, I think, Zines. It's like a comic explaining complex stuff, and she does it really well where she takes a topic that's quite complicated, so to speak. So, for example, Git. I think the recent article was on Git, and she took that and really dived deep into understanding, okay, what are the references? Like how does a branch work? So, for example, if I ask you, okay, what do you think a branch is? So in our heads, branch is like it's a branch. You think like there is a commit, there is a pointer to some commit, and then behind that commit there's a whole history of what you've did. But that's not really how branches work in Git. And yeah, she makes it very easy to really understand the hard things. And I think the more experience you get, the easier it gets to explain. The more experience you get, the easier it gets to explain hard things. And the more you explain hard things, the easier it gets for you to understand them yourself. So, I mean, when you're explaining something to someone else and you're trying to make it easy, I think your brain tries to restructure the information in the proper way, so you get better at understanding the problem as well. So it's I think that's also why some people recommend doing blogs on technical stuff, because while you're writing and researching concepts, you get better at them. I mean, that's not a lie. Like, you really do. While you're reading about the theory, like figuring out, okay, from your past experiences, how you did it and stuff, it gets solidified in your memory as something that you did, and it gets broken down into simple modules that you can understand and also explain. So I think that's also one of like great skills to have as a software engineer, where you can take a very complex concept, go to your business colleagues, for example, and explain that concept as if they're 5 years old. So it's also a great thing to train. So try taking a concept and explaining it to like your 5-year-old, basically. So yeah, it really makes it all good. Yeah, what else? So I think, yeah, I'm not gonna. So there, in my article, I had like 13 points, or 14 points even, but I'm not gonna focus on all of them. I'm just gonna like mention the ones that I enjoyed, like I really think are important to mention in the video. So I think, so as you grow as a developer, so we're gonna talk about developing a code nose and strong opinion. So a code nose is basically when you see a code, you have a gut feeling if it's good or bad, because you've seen so much code that you can already like, you have an eye for good code, so you can see already, okay, this looks proper. And if it doesn't look proper, then you're like, I'm not sure what's wrong, but this looks wrong. And that's basically what a code nose is, because you figure out how the code smells, and over time this code nose gets better. But we need to understand that we developers, we develop very strong opinions during our career. So there are so many different people around the world who are building software in many different ways. And I've seen people who've followed Scrum, who hated Scrum. I've seen people who loved Waterfall and who hated Waterfall. There's so many different sides that you don't have to pick one. I mean, like, you do have to pick one, but you don't have to see it as a picking a side. You just build the software as you see fit. So, and that's why I'm saying, you as a software engineer, you're gonna have a lot of subjective opinions, and you're gonna develop like a strong feeling, okay, this is the right way. This is how the software needs to be built. But what you need to understand is that you having strong opinions is great, but these strong opinions need to be loosely held, because there will come a time where a person will approach you who has a better idea, who has an improvement to your way of working, and it's going to be counterproductive for you as a software engineer to tell him, no, I'm going to stick to coding as I do because I've done that for 10 years or so. Again, that's bad for you as a software engineer, because again, having strong opinions is good. For example, if you think Angular is better than React, great, that's your personal opinion, but eventually someone will come when they will, for example, convince you that, or try to convince you that React is objectively better, or Vue.js, or whatever other framework there is. Because again, there will come a time where some framework gets better, some frameworks get worse. So again, be open to possibilities that your way of working, that your way of seeing things is not perfect, or it's gotten, for example, outdated, and it's quite common in the software engineering space where things become outdated. So focus on really having opinions, but really being open to discussing them openly as a debate even maybe, and then changing your opinion. There's nothing wrong in changing your opinion. Yeah, be open to that, and yeah, that's basically everything that I want to talk about today. Yeah, I hope this was useful to you. I really hope that this first video is going to be well accepted. I really hope my camera did not shut down suddenly and did not record the last, I don't know how many, 20 minutes maybe. So please leave a comment. Please press the like button so that I know if you like this video or not. And yeah, I'm going to be recording more of these videos, because I think that I'd like to also document my growth a bit. I don't see myself as an expert. I see myself as an amateur, and I'd like to improve. And this is the way of me tinkering with stuff and improving myself and learning stuff outside the coding, around the coding, because you might think that recording videos has nothing to do with coding, but it has a lot to do with, again, translating your thoughts into words and making sure that you can elaborate what you're building. So I think this is a great opportunity for me to grow a bit. And yeah, I'm looking forward to creating more videos, and then maybe in the future looking back on my first video, how I started. So yeah, tell me what you think about this, and yeah, that's it. See you in the next video probably.